Today we're going to show you the method of budgeting that totally changed the way we feel about managing our money. It's a move away from traditional budgeting that has you feeling like a failure every month. We want a budget that will empower you to tell your money where you want it to go instead of the other way around. We use YNAB for our budget. That's short for You Need a Budget. So that's what I'm going to show you how to use today, but you can apply these same principles to a pencil and paper budget or use a spreadsheet that you make yourself.
Whatever you choose, whether it's YNAB, a pencil and paper, or your own spreadsheet, this method of budgeting will change your life. That might sound dramatic, but it's really what it did for us. We're Stephanie and Mike from SixFiguresUnder.com, where we share frugal inspiration and financial motivation to help families live frugally, pay off debt, and reach their financial goals. If you're joining us for the Frugal Fresh Start Challenge, this is day 7. To join the challenge, or get the free workbook, or see links to the previous videos in the challenge, check out the video description below.
In just a second, I'll jump right into YNAB and show you how to set up a brand new budget. But first, let's explain what's different about this budgeting method versus traditional budgeting. If you've done any budgeting in the past, it's most likely been of the traditional sort. A traditional budget is characterized by a list of categories, each with an assigned amount of money that you plan to spend in that category. Your budget is based on your projected income for the month, which hopefully is more than the total of all the expenses. Essentially, a traditional budget is a plan of how you will spend the money that you hope to get that month.
We've failed dismally every time we try to live by a budget of this sort. These budgets are a chore, and the most frequent emotion they engender is a sort of lingering guilt. Our actual spending never quite matched our budgeted amounts, and we constantly felt like we'd failed and should have been better at projecting our expenses or our income. We sometimes found ourselves gerrymandering purchases into unnatural budget categories, as if the budget were some unchangeable fact we had to conform to. We avoided reviewing the budget altogether, and eventually we just stopped using it completely. It didn't matter if the actual budgeting tool was a sheet of paper or a spreadsheet or a program like Quicken or Mint, it was always a bad experience. With a traditional budget, there were no built-in restraints or safeguards to ensure that our spending followed our budget. There were no checks to ensure that our spending money had even actually been earned yet. The rigidity of traditional budgeting methods left us feeling like failures at worst and unenthusiastic participants at best.
In contrast to traditional budgeting, the budgeting model we recommend and we're going to walk you through today is a forward-looking budget, which is actually really intuitive. If you've never budgeted before, you won't know the difference. It will just make sense. If you have budgeted in the past, you'll probably wonder why you never thought to do it like this before.
Most traditional budgeting software and philosophies look backwards at what happened. They analyze where your money went after it's too late to do anything about it. Instead, we're going to look forward. We'll assign our real, actual money to categories before we spend it. So, in order to start, you need to know how much money you have right now, because we're only going to budget dollars that we already have. So don't estimate, go look at your checking account and see how many dollars you have in there, how much you have to work with.
Okay, let's go into the computer and I'll show you how to set up YNAB. But remember that even without YNAB, you can still apply the same budgeting rules and methodology to your own spreadsheet. It works wonderfully. If you want to see how YNAB works and learn how to use it and decide it's worth the investment for you, you can get a month of YNAB free. I'll leave a link below.
Okay, welcome to YNAB. This is what it looks like when we start a new budget. I'm going to walk you through the process of setting up and using a budget, so this will be a little longer than my normal videos, so make yourself comfortable. I'll put a timestamp index down below so you can easily go back and rewatch any sections that need a second pass. First, we'll talk about funding the budget. Next, we'll talk briefly about categories. Third, we'll talk about funding categories. Fourth, we'll talk about spending and tracking. And then finally, I'll talk about how credit cards work with YNAB. It's a lot to cover, but by the end, you should feel pretty comfortable with setting up your budget either in YNAB or adapt it in your own way. As always, if you have any questions, please ask. I'm happy to help you out. And if there are areas where you'd like me to expand and make a more in-depth video, just let me know and I'll try to make it happen. The first thing we want to do is fund our budget. Remember, this is the big difference between YNAB and other budgeting methods. We only budget money we actually have. we want to add any and all accounts that we'll be spending from or potentially spending from. Click here to add a new account. So when you add a new account, YNAB asks if it's going to be linked or unlinked. You can choose linked if you want YNAB to import your transactions automatically. While it may be convenient to have all of your transactions automatically appear for you, there is real value in doing it yourself. You'll see that this manual entry gives awareness and accountability that you won't have any other way. So I recommend doing the unlinked version. So to start, I'll put in one checking account, one savings account, and some cash. So we'll have a checking account. We'll just call it family checking. Our current account balance we'll say is $2,000. Okay, we'll add another account, another unlinked account. It will be a savings account. We'll call it our emergency fund. Our current account balance we'll say is $500. And then we'll add one more. Unlinked, we'll say cash. We'll just say wallet. We'll say we've got $60. Okay, that'll give us enough to get started and show you what's going on. But of course, if you have multiple checking accounts, multiple savings accounts, put it all in here. So all the places that you'll be spending money from are here. So each of these is like a register, like a checkbook register, if you're old enough to know what that is. Let's go over to the budget view here. Now, this money here at the top, this $2,560 to be budgeted, this is the total of all these accounts here. Since we're just starting out, all the money goes up here into the available to budget. In the future, each time you enter income, you'll see money appear here at the top of the budget, ready to be budgeted. Then you'll budget that new paycheck down to $0. And these account balances over here will continue to be the account balances. But as you'll see in a second, we're not going to spend according to these account balances. We're going to spend according to our category balances. Okay, let's look at categories now. As you can see, YNAB starts you out with lots of category groups and category suggestions. Since we talk about categories in depth in yesterday's video, I won't go into that here. Go ahead and enter the categories you wrote down yesterday. You can divide them into the 3 areas we discussed: fixed expenses, variable expenses, and periodic expenses. Or if you prefer the way that they're set up in YNAB like this, then go ahead and use that. Don't worry, they're easy to change later if you want to add or delete something or move something around. To change any of these, just click on them and then you can edit them. We could change this to fixed expenses. And then to add more categories under this category head, we just click the plus here, add a new category, whatever. We can move them around, drag them into different places, and we can also add a new category group if we want. Then add more categories under there. Let me grab a minimal budget that I already have put together for illustration purposes. So in order to organize the budget in the most helpful way when you're getting started, let's go ahead and put due dates on the categories that have them. So if the mortgage is due on the 1st of each month, let's change this to be mortgage 1st. And then if the water's due on the 22nd of the month, we'll put that. Let's say the electric is due on the 8th. Car insurance is due on the 16th. Internet is due on the 3rd. And cell phone is at the end of the month. So we're only budgeting money we have. We might not have enough to fund each category completely right now. We'll have to prioritize. So let's drag these bills around in the order of their due dates so we can fund them in order of what's coming up the soonest. So let's drag internet up here. Whoops. Internet up here, then electric, then car insurance, water, cell phone. Okay, so those are all in order. Let's also set goals for each of these categories when it makes sense. For example, if our mortgage, we just click on the category here, go over to create a goal. So if our mortgage is $1,900, ours isn't, but that would be nice. Save goal. That adds this yellow, orange circle here around this. And that just tells us that there's more information that we need to know about this. And we look over here. Your goal needs $1,900. So it reminds us how much more we need to budget. Let's say our internet, let's set a goal for our internet that it's $65 a month. Our electric, let's say $300. Whoops. Over here to goals, let's say $300. So our electric is $300. Car insurance goal is $168. Water, create a goal for water, it'll be $60. And cell phone goal, we'll put $40. Okay, I'm also going to add some goals to these categories down here, but first I'm going to drag them in order of priority. So probably having groceries is the most important, then gas, then household, then clothing, then entertainment. And like I said, this isn't an all-inclusive budget. I just grabbed a couple of categories in each of the category groups to illustrate how this works. So groceries, let's set a goal for our groceries for $500 for the month. For gas, we'll put $300. Household, we'll say $100. And I won't put goals for these because these are more luxury. If we can fund them, we can. If we can't, we're going to survive. Okay, I just realized that it was in that other budget that I added our money, so I need to quickly add in some money here. I'll go do that and get right back to you. Okay, now that we have our budget funded, we have this money available to budget, and we have our categories all set up, it's time to fund our budget categories. Up at the top, you can see we have $2,560 to be budgeted. We want to tell each of our dollars what to do. Instead of just being a lump of money in our accounts, our money will be earmarked for specific categories. Don't worry, you'll be able to change your allocations when you need to. This budget is not set in stone. A budget needs to change. That's a normal thing. We're going to talk all about that in day 14 of the Frugal Fresh Start Challenge. Today's day 7. We're going to budget down to 0, meaning every dollar in all of our accounts will have a specific job or category that it is assigned to. It's like a virtual envelope system. Giving every dollar a job also means that you are only budgeting money that you already have. Remember, we're dealing with money that actually exists, not money that we hope materializes this month. These numbers really mean something. They're actual dollars. So let's decide what this money needs to accomplish before we get paid again. So if today is the 10th of the month, the next big bill coming up is car insurance. I click on this and see that we need $168. So I'm going to, in this budgeted column, I'm going to budget $168. And you see as we hit enter there, it takes the money out of this to be budgeted and assigns it the job of paying for our car insurance. The next thing coming up is the water, due on the 22nd. Let's go ahead and budget $60 for that. Comes right out of there. Cell phone, we'll budget $40 for that. Now before we go any further, I want to remember that we had $500, this savings account we had set up as an emergency fund. So I want to go down before we forget and put that $500 here in our emergency fund. So that we kind of already gave it a job. These dollars we already put in the savings account that we labeled emergency fund. months before starting this budget. I don't want them to lose their job. So let's get back to our variable expenses. We are going to need groceries before we get paid again. So let's put half of the grocery budget in there, $250. Gas, we had said our goal was $300. Let's put half of that. Let's put $150. And household, let's go ahead and put half in there. Let's see, our biggest payment is our mortgage, and it's coming up. We have $1,900. Let's go ahead and put $1,000 right now, and then the other $900 will get put in when our next paycheck comes. Let's see, and now we have $342 left. Oh, we hate when those big car repairs come without any warning, so let's go ahead and put $200 there. Start building up a fund there that we can have when something happens. Let's say home maintenance. We'll put $100 there. And let's put the rest of that $42 in our medical fund. So allocate how much money you think you need to each purchase category. Pay special attention to big payments that you have coming later in the month, where you might want to allocate half of the money to that category. And then, like we did with groceries and gas and household, you can add the rest of the money that you'll need when your next paycheck comes. That means you'll have to prioritize your categories, like you'll want to fund your rent or mortgage category before your entertainment category. And notice that even though our to be budgeted is $0, all of our money is still over here in our checking account. We haven't actually spent anything yet, but the money is all allocated to our categories. So each time we get paid, we're going to do this. Let me show you quickly how that works. Go into our checking account, add a transaction. We'll say it's today. Our pay is work. We'll add it to the to be budgeted category. It's not really a category, it's just the number up at the top. We'll say our paycheck is $1,500. Save that. And you see it adds it over here to our checking account. And if we go over to the budget, it puts that money right up at the top. If you've seen our actual monthly budget updates where we share our real YNAB screen with you, you'll notice some differences in the way we have our budget set up versus the way I just told you to set it up. The reason for that is we are to the point of living on last month's income. That means at the beginning of each month, we have all the money for that month's budget available to us. So we aren't concerned with due dates on our bills. They're actually on auto pay. And all of the money is in the account at the very beginning of the month. We also don't set goals for most of our category amounts since we fund our categories in full at the beginning of the month rather than funding partial categories from one paycheck and the rest from the next paycheck. In order for you to stop the paycheck to paycheck cycle so you can live on last month's income too, we'll want to start setting aside money to build up a buffer each month. When you have a month's worth of income saved up, you can budget the entire next month using the sum that you saved while you direct all your income during the current month to the following month. Your to be budgeted money will be based on the money you earned the month before. It's a wonderfully freeing feeling to have a buffer. I can't recommend it highly enough. I have another video that goes into detail about what it means to live on last month's income and how to get to that point. Now let's talk about spending according to our category balances. We can have the most beautifully planned budget, but if we don't spend according to our budget and keep track of that spending, then it's all for naught. To make your budget work, you need to spend according to the balance in your budget categories. Notice I didn't say spend according to your account balances. Before making a purchase, you need to check your category balances and make sure that there is sufficient money in the category to cover the purchases. Each time you spend money, record your expenditures either on the mobile app or on your computer. Each budget account, our checking account, our savings account, credit cards, etc., will have its own register of transactions. To record spending or income, click on the account on the left side to pull up the register. So if we bought something with our checking account, we'll pull up this one. We'll click on Add New Transaction. Let's say today we went to Sam's Club and we choose our category. Let's say it was groceries and we spent $50. We'll save that transaction. And you see that took the money out of our checking account because we spent it. And it also, under groceries, takes that out of the budgeted amount and shows that we have $200 remaining. So this category balance here shows the real live amount of how much money you have available to spend for the month. And then here in the activity column, if you click on that, it will show what we spent that money on. Now, you can easily look at this on your phone in the YNAB app before we shop. And it's super important that while you're still at the store or as soon as you get home, that you record these transactions. Okay, let me give you one more example of tracking your spending so I can show you how to split categories. Okay, we're going to go into our checking account, add a transaction. Today, we went to Target. And we didn't just buy groceries, we also bought household. So we're going to go to split. So, multiple categories. The total we spent, we're going to put right here in outflow, we spent $50 at Target. The first category we used was groceries. We spent $10 on groceries. We also bought some household things. Say that was $40. So that will save that and it will bring this down by $50, our checking account total. But this, like I said, these aren't numbers that I watch regularly. These are the numbers to watch right here. So it brought grocery down by $10 and it brought household down by $40. Okay, credit cards. I won't go deep into credit cards in this video, but I do want to at least tell you that using credit cards with YNAB is awesome. It's really the safest way to use a credit card. If you're using a credit card to pay for an expense, you will still spend according to the available category balances. When we spend with a credit card, the purchase amount will lower the category balance just as if it were a cash purchase. The money hasn't come out of the checking account or the savings account yet, but it's earmarked as being spent. Then when your credit card bill comes, you can be absolutely certain that the money will be sitting in the bank waiting for you to apply it to the credit card. It's already been given that job of paying for whatever you bought with the credit card. Budgeting like this has taken the stress away from using credit cards for us and only left the benefits. So let me show you how to add a credit card. We'll go through here and choose credit card. We'll call it Visa, Creative. And what is our current account balance? Let's say there's a $300 balance on there. Now at this point, we have to choose if we're going to have a goal to pay off our balance over time. So this is if you carry a balance on your credit card and you need to pay it off, we're going to choose this one. If you want to budget for your entire balance and pay it all off right now, this is for, if you pay it off every month. And that's what we do. So that's what I'm going to choose. If you choose this one, it will create a debt category for your credit card, which is exactly what you need to do to start making a goal to get that paid off. But for right now, I'm going to choose this one. So since we made these $300 worth of purchases before starting YNAB, we haven't earmarked any money for that yet. So that's something we'll want to do. Right here at the top is our credit card. You can see over here that it's the negative balance. And as you can see, YNAB already created a goal. Our goal needs $300. So since we've already been paid here in this scenario, we will go ahead and put the $300 right toward that credit card so we don't forget. When you're setting up YNAB, you'll definitely want to add the credit cards in the beginning so that you can make sure that that initial total to be budgeted, that was all your accounts up here, that you're using that money to pay off this credit card so that you get back to your zero balance before you start allocating money to all these other categories so that you can keep your zero balance and pay for all those purchases that happened before YNAB. And then going forward, the purchases you make now will be allocated. Let me show you. So if we go to Visa and say we're going to add a transaction, we go to Target, stop by and get some more groceries. We spend $50. Okay, you see our credit card balance went up $50 because we just put $50 of groceries on our credit card. Then we look over here at the budget. So we budgeted $250 of our real dollars toward groceries. We spent $110. $60 of it actually came out of our checking account, and $50 of it was on the Visa. Now this has not come out of our checking account yet, but we act as if it has. We budgeted $250, spent $110, so this is the category that we look at when we want to spend more money. We see, oh, we have $140 remaining in this category. It doesn't matter that that $50 is on a credit card. That $50 has been earmarked to pay the credit card. In fact, if you look up here, under the Visa category, there's $50 added here. We budgeted $300 to go toward the bill to pay for what we bought last month before we started YNAB. Now any YNAB spending we do, when we spend on the credit card, it puts the money up here. It takes it out of the category where we spent it. So we bought groceries at Target with the credit card, used 50 of our dollars that were earmarked for groceries, and YNAB takes that $50 and puts it up here for our credit card. Now when we pay our credit card bill, those earmarked dollars are what will go to pay the bill. So we can see here that we have this money is available, has been budgeted to pay our credit card. I really love the safety and simplicity that comes with budgeting like this. There's no need to open a bunch of specific accounts for your budget goals. Really, the simpler, the better. You don't have to fret that your new car savings and your property tax money live together with your grocery money and your utility expenses all in the same checking account. Your special savings categories aren't in danger of being spent because you will no longer consult your checking account balance before making a purchase. Instead, you'll look at the category balances before deciding to make a purchase. As long as you spend according to your categories and track your expenses, you can trust that your money will be safe from accidental spending or intentional spending without having to move your money around between accounts. I know this was a quick crash course overview of YNAB and how the methodology works. If you'd like to see more videos on this that go in more depth, just let me know.
So your challenge for day 7 of the Frugal Fresh Start is this. Set up a budget, either in your own spreadsheet, on paper, or give YNAB a try. You'll use the categories you outlined yesterday, then use the money you have right now to fund your budget, starting with the most urgent categories. Do your very best to spend according to category balances rather than just your checking account balance, or not checking any balance at all. Be prepared to continue funding categories the next time you get paid.
If you have any questions about the way YNAB works or about the way we budget, just leave them in the comments below. We're happy to answer them.
We'll see you back here for the next video.